Hi, I'm Greg. I'm the lead singer for Lipstick.
And I'm Steve. I'm the lead bassist for Lipstick.
And welcome to the Lipstick Panel, the internet's #1 organized thoughts podcast.
Yes, we definitely have not started and restarted this episode multiple times because we forgot the plot of the movie we just saw.
It's not that we forgot the plot of the movie we just saw. It's just ordinarily with our podcast, we do a little bit. It's a little bit more organized, that we have a format. We stick with the format. This is breaking the format.
Also, the stories that we tell, the background is usually our own life stories, which are a lot easier to remember than some cartoon.
It's, I think...
Although with a lot fewer explosions, gotta say.
I think it's not that I'm having an issue remembering this movie. It's because, just having taken it in, my thoughts are all over the place because there's so many things I liked about the movie. I'm like, oh, that was awesome. And because of that... it's hard for me to center my thoughts. I don't normally do a reaction immediately after watching something. I usually take my time and process my thoughts, so it's a little bit of a different process for me.
You're just in awe of the spectacle you witnessed.
Yeah, and
mere moments ago.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We just got back from the theater at our local Nashville cinema. We passing the Wax Museum on the way.
Brought to you by Madame Tussauds. However you pronounce her name.
Yeah. But, yeah, so this episode of the Lifted Panel, a little bit different. We're going to be reviewing and discussing the new Dragon Ball movie, the first Dragon Ball Super movie, and the fourth Broly movie. So, Steve and I did a movie commentary on the first Broly movie.
As you may recall.
Yes. So, Steve, how would you say this stacks up? This is a question I definitely didn't ask you a minute ago.
This is definitely a question I didn't answer a minute ago. This movie, I think, was a lot better in a lot of ways. The writing was more coherent, more just sort of organized, and there was a real sense of why characters did things other than just like, oh, I'm mad and I gotta fight the biggest guy near, and I also like to fight the biggest guy around. We're the two biggest guys, let's fight each other. There's a real plot, and the animation of this series, it turns out, has vastly improved over the 15 years since I first really started watching it.
And see, that's why I wanted to redo this podcast, because a more organized, coherent thought process makes for a more pleasurable entertainment experience.
I don't know, two people rambling into microphones for 20 minutes. That sounds pretty fun. Going off the rails.
Yeah, there's enough other podcasts that do that.
Pew, pew, pew.
So,
you mean every single one?
Yes.
Every single podcast is the one that goes off the rails?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's kind of disorganized.
Yeah, it turns out...
Except for like those two that solve mysteries.
You get what you pay for with podcasting.
An Audible subscription?
There you go. Get some audiobooks.
Audible, please give us money. We're a podcast. That's what you do, right?
Is that how it works?
I think so. I mean, all these podcasts sponsored by Audible, presumably they're not just doing it for free ebooks.
There are podcasts sponsored by Audible?
Have you listened to podcasts?
I guess the podcasts I listen to aren't on that level. I mean, think about what I'm listening to. I'm listening to Ultima Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Pod of Thunder. No One Can Know About This. The Decibel Geek Podcast, Pods and Sods, Tramps Like Us, Kiss FAQ.
Let's just go ahead and casually shit on our friends' podcasts and talk about how they're not notable enough to get sponsorships.
What I was actually trying to do is I'm trying to make sure I mention everyone to get their plugs in. Their shows are great, and they should get sponsorships.
You guys' shows are all great. Blue Ribbon or Blue Apron, Audible, look those guys up.
I'm in love with that song podcast. Actually, they should definitely get sponsored.
That guy's actually organized.
Does a better job than all of us.
You get more than what you pay for with his.
Really, this show is all about how great Brad's show is, and I should be listening to that instead.
Stop this podcast right now. Go search I'm in love with that song podcast and just click play.
So this time, to have a more organized thoughts, we pulled up the Wikipedia article on Steve's phone so we can describe the plot of the movie. So Steve, tell me the plot of this film.
41 years ago. All right, so the movie starts off with a flashback telling the history of...
spoilers, by the way.
Oh, yeah. The plot that I'm about to tell spoils the movie.
Yes.
The movie starts off with a flashback telling the history of Planet Vegeta and Frieza's relationship with Planet Vegeta and where Broly comes from. So,
and Ginyu Force cameo.
And Ginyu Force cameo. I was sold as soon as the Ginyu Force showed up. I was like, yes! Although they were called the Frieza Force at that point, I guess, or Cold Force and then the Frieza Force.
Well, the Frieza Force is like the collective, his entire army is called the Frieza Force. So Ginyu Force is probably still called the Ginyu Force. They just didn't mention them by name.
They're like the SEAL Team 6 of the Frieza Force.
Yes.
So anyway, Frieza and Co., or rather Frieza's dad, Cold and Co.
Yes, King Cold.
King Cold land on planet Frieza, where they,
Planet Vegeta.
Planet Vegeta, where they casually reference that, there's already an existing working relationship where the Saiyans conquer planets for King Cold, and then sell them to the highest bidder. But King Cold announces that he's retiring and is putting Frieza in charge. But not to worry, Frieza is an even bigger bastard than King Cold is, so don't mess with him.
So here's what's interesting about this opening scene is that this is a Dragon Ball movie that actually provides context for a new viewer.
Right.
And like this one is like a real legit movie in a lot of ways. And that's kind of weird. Like, it's well-paced and dramatic, and like it still has the Dragon Ball charm and sense of humor, because I think Dragon Ball has always had that little bit of a troll aspect to it, where they recognize the ridiculousness of it.
But yeah, the plot was actually pretty straightforward to follow. The only times I had to lean over to Greg and whisper, "What the hell's going on?" was when
transformations.
Was when people's hair changed colors. Like, why is his hair blue now? What's that mean?
And you saw the movie where his hair turned blue for the first time.
Yeah, but I forgot.
That's fair. All right, so I'll let you continue with the plot.
Don't talk so loud. We're in a movie.
Sorry.
Breaking character? All right. Anyway, flash forward. Probably some number of months. The exact time period is not probably particularly important. But we go into the nursery where baby Vegeta is floating.
We're not baby Vegeta. That's in GT.
Oh, okay. I mean, Vegeta as a baby, we're still like
Yes.
40 years in the past, is floating in a Bacta tank, and King Vegeta, his dad, is being all like, my son's gonna be the best, he's gonna punch him. What? Who's this other baby floating in a Bacta tube over here? And the scientists are like, well, this is some kid named Broly, son of like a low-level fighter, but he's pretty awesome. You should totally be. And the King Vegeta's like, no, we're gonna send him to a different place. I don't like him because he might be stronger than my kid. My kid's the coolest. And so
so he decides to send baby Broly off to a random shithole desert planet.
Yep.
Which, is nicer than in the other Broly movie where they decide to stab a baby. So,
I mean, what gets the job done?
Neither, apparently.
All right. It's really a Greek prophecy kind of thing.
Right.
So anyway, so he ships him off to another planet. Broly's dad is like, what? You can't do that to my baby. And he hijacks a shuttle and he goes and lives on the planet. So Broly and his father are living in isolation alone on this hostile alien world where they have to like kill bug monsters to survive.
But at first there's another Saiyan that goes to the planet with Paragus.
Yeah. I mean, Paragus murders him. He's not super important.
But what's interesting is that like they set up a decent number of like the guy gets a decent amount of screen time and dialogue where you think he's actually going to be a character.
Emphasis on dialogue, am I right?
Oh, hey-oh.
I emphasized the log in dialogue.
But I'd say that's actually something this film really excels at, is there's really good performances by the new characters they introduced, the minor cast, where they, like, you can't tell who is going to be important and who is going to be a footnote, because that Saiyan who got a decent amount of screen time and dialogue ended up being a footnote, and then other characters who were performed at like the same level of quality ended up being important. And so that kind of made you actually wonder what was going to happen with each individual character.
Yep. So anyway, flash forward another period of time, probably, several years flash forward. And we go to another Saiyan is flying back to Planet Saiyan, where he has been told that the entire Frieza Force all of the Saiyans of the Frieza Force have been summoned back to the planet for whatever reason. He talks to one of his compatriots and is like, something suspicious here. And then he goes and talks to a character who is clearly his wife. Turns out this is Goku's dad, and they Superman that baby to Earth. And then Frieza blows up the planet.
So a couple of things I want to touch on with this. So
That's normally not what the verb Superman means. You.
yo. So the thing I want to touch on with this is this was the first moment that felt truly fan servicey to me. And when I say fan servicey, I'm not just talking about like, oh, there's a hot chick on the screen or a hot dude.
There were no fewer than 3 named women in this film, which is a lot for a Dragon Ball film.
Didn't pass the Bechdel test.
No,
though.
none of them even met each other.
Right. So here's what I will say about the fan servicey thing is like Dragon Ball fans have long wanted an interaction between Goku and his dad where they showed some kind of connection and loving bond for each other. And it's been like, Dragon Ball fans have been wanting that for years. So when they did the whole hand on the pod thing,
I do like that whole scene was directly undercut by Goku's mom.
saying, don't forget us.
No. Like a minute before that, when they're like carrying the pod away to hide the baby Goku, and his mom was like, "Since when do you do that? What kind of Saiyan man like cares for his children?" He's like, "What? Like, oh, this is like a Gillette commercial over here." Topical.
That's gonna age well. But so
hopefully the young men of this next generation do too. Age well.
Yes,
is what I mean. If that wasn't clear.
Yes,
from my words.
That was very clear, Stephen. So Bardock was a character who got his entire own spin-off movie. Actually, a couple different spin-off movies. And the first movie he was in, which I guess got retconned, was the plot of the movie was Bardock is a average, ordinary Saiyan asshole. Typical Saiyan, didn't care about anything, and went to this planet to conquer it. But the people on that planet had the ability to see the future.
Ooh.
And so he gets attacked by one of those guys and gets one of the aliens who can see the future and gets his own future seeing abilities. And when he sees the future, he sees Frieza destroying the planet and tries to change the future and ultimately fails.
He Greek tragedies it?
Yes, Greek tragedies it.
Oh no, I tried to avoid that prophecy.
Yes. And it's generally considered one of the better movies in the Dragon Ball canon, and so a lot of people weren't happy about it being retconned with a manga that came out a few years ago. And this sequence sort of tried to have it both ways, because at the end of the sequence, it showed him, doing a ki blast against Frieza, kind of showing his same battle condition as in the other movie. So they're trying to have both of them be canon, whichever you interpret as being the canon. It's like, yeah, he sent Goku away, and then also totally got magical future seeing powers.
All right.
But it was, done very well, very dramatic sequences, so I definitely enjoyed the beginning section of the movie quite a bit.
It was very plot heavy. It was a lot of like previously on Dragon Ball Z, except previously like 40 years ago, not actually on this.
Yeah, but it was done very well, and I didn't mind it because those are the best parts of the story.
That was most of the story.
Well, I'm talking about in the entire Dragon Ball canon. I would say the Frieza arc was the peak of this in terms of like legit good storytelling versus most Dragon Ball is just entertaining, but I don't think legitimately good storytelling.
Right. Goku wants to fight this guy because he's the strongest.
Right. Like, I'm having a great time, but I don't think it's actually dramatic and well written versus the entire Frieza arc from when Goku finds out he's an alien up to defeating Frieza. I think actually is well written because they actually have tactics, power dynamics, just the politics matter.
Krillin dies, but even like, so an example I would cite is Ginyu Force. But like when an example of the writing being good is when the characters first get to Namek before Goku is there. You got Gohan, Krillin, and Bulma, and everyone else around them is way stronger than them and can easily kill them. And it's actually about being smarter than the bad guys and outmaneuvering them. That was really good actual writing from the show instead of just like, I'm stronger, I'm gonna fight you. I can transform into a new thing that makes me better fightier.
So, like, when they explore the lore in this realm of the Dragon Ball universe, it's usually the best stuff, and this was no exception.
Word.
All right, so
40 years later, actually 36 years later, because apparently we've got a 5-year difference between those previous two flashbacks. We cut to modern Earth, where Goku and Vegeta are doing their training thing. Well, Beerus and what's his name watch.
Whis,
Whis, and also Bulma. And they get a call, and it turns out that Frieza's dudes broke into Capsule Corp and stole the 6 Dragon Balls and the Dragon Ball Scouter that Bulma had, and they were headed to Antarctica to reclaim the last Dragon Ball. Everybody hops in a shuttle, except for Beerus, who stays behind to watch the baby, and they go off to intercept Frieza and prevent whatever diabolical plan he has.
Right. So Bulma was gathering the Dragon Balls because she wanted to look younger, but only 5 years younger, so that people wouldn't notice too much.
That was a particularly good bit of writing, where the back and forth of people coaxing out of Bulma, like, what do you need Dragon Balls for? Why do you only want to look 5 years younger? Until she finally yells at them, it's like, fine, if I looked 10 years younger, then people would start asking who my surgeon was.
And then Frieza is revealed his reason for wanting the Dragon Ball.
Diabolical plan.
He wants to be 5 inches taller.
5 centimeters
5
taller.
Centimeters, right? Sorry,
so that it looks
system.
like he's still just growing.
Right,
And
just natural growth. And he says,
I love that bit. Just like the pettiness of like, yes, my master plan to be slightly taller.
So here's the thing: there was another Dragon Ball villain who already wanted that as his wish. That dude died. His subordinate said, wait, you made us gather the Dragon Balls for this? Shot the guy in the head over that.
I mean, Frieza died too, but whatever.
Not in this movie.
He got better.
Right? He got over it.
Actually, that was one of those particularly...
Death isn't the career obstacle it used to be.
That was one of those particularly interesting and sort of philosophically poignant things that they glossed over it pretty quickly, but when asked about if he wanted to be immortal, Frieza said, no, that's a terrible idea. When I was in hell and trapped in a cocoon and unable to move, I realized just that the worst possible thing that can happen to you is being stuck somewhere forever, which is like one of the problems with immortality in an entropic universe like ours is eventually you will, if you are unable to die, you are eventually going to reach a point where you are just like sitting alone on an abandoned planetoid with nothing to do and no energy, and just gradually the universe becoming more entropic around you. And it was like, yeah, Frieza's got a good point there.
Yeah, I mean, Frieza, I'm glad they decided to just bring Frieza back. Like, hey, you know that
philosopher of our time, Frieza, the destroyer of worlds.
Well, it's like, you know how that character was one of the best parts of the franchise? Let's bring him back. It's like when they brought Kazuya back in Tekken. Like, hey, you know how we killed off our most popular character, the one that was the coolest? What do we undo that?
Undo! Control Z! Cut to deep space. And these characters, Chilai and Limo, are members of the Frieza Force.
Oh, Chili and Lime, I get it.
That's it. That's the joke. That's the joke. And they have been tasked with helping rebuild the Frieza Force by seeking out just whoever they can find with a power level of 1,000 or more and drafting them. Maybe Shanghaiing them. Who knows?
Yeah, Frieza's having trouble finding recruits.
Press ganging, to use the probably less racist term.
Turns out when you're dead for 15 years, it's hard to get people to start working for you again and trust you as a boss.
Company loyalty sort of falls apart.
Right.
So anyway, they end up...
People start asking questions like, wait, you came back from the dead?
They hear a distress beacon, and it turns out that it is the planet Vampa, where Broly and his dad have been this entire time, and they rescue him, and they bring him to Frieza, who's like, whoa, this dude's huge. Yes, all right, you get to have your revenge on Prince Vegeta for banishing you indirectly. But make sure that you leave Goku alive so that I can kill him.
So, like in the previous Broly movie, Paragus wants revenge against Vegeta for the sins of his father, wants to get back at him for banishing Broly, which, I don't know, I feel like it's, the motivation isn't as strong, as just stabbing the baby, I guess. Like, the son of the dude who sent your kid to a planet. I don't know, how worth it revenge is in that context.
I think it's, it's set up that it would make sense that he's just been stewing about this for 40 years. Just alone, other than his son gradually getting old, living on this crappy planet where you have to eat bug parts and with nothing to do but train your son, I feel like it would just it became sort of an obsessive thing for him. Like, he had nothing else going on for him other than raising his son and hoping for one day for revenge. So when that opportunity for revenge came, he wasn't going to be like, oh, the guy that I was really mad at is dead. I guess his son's, I'll let his son go.
The
it's
only
fine.
people he could talk to were his son and Wilson.
Right.
Wilson!
Wilson! But yeah, so he was just like, he only had his revenge and his son. So he was like, let's just keep going for the revenge on the next guy down the line. Anyway, so Frieza brings them along to Earth to fight Vegeta and Goku. And
I think we're missing an important scene where Broly makes friends with Chile and Lime on the ship.
it's true. There's a number of interactions between them.
And some, like, bro-y hair metal guys like, hey, baby, I listen to Poison and Bon Jovi and I'm drunk. Do you want me to treat you poorly? And the green girl is like, no, I don't want you to treat me poorly. And then Broly's like, I'm going to beat up this dude who's harassing women. And like in the previous Broly movie where Broly's dad has a make Broly stop doing things button, he has that in this
He has
film
a shock
as well.
collar.
And as opposed to a mind control headband from the first Broly movie, this time it's just literally just a dog shock collar.
A monkey shock collar, as it were.
Yeah. But his dad, the green girl, a part of her, Lime.
Chile is the red one. Lime is the green one.
All right, so Lime, her backstory is that she's a thief, and so she steals the dog whistle.
In the most, like, telegraphed pickpocketing everywhere. By the way, Broly's dad wears a fanny pack.
Yes.
It's embarrassing.
Yes, it is.
Dad's in fanny packs, right?
Right? Hey,
I believe towards the end he was wearing socks and sandals and cargo shorts.
so
These are my new battle uniform. They're very aerodynamic.
So she steals the device from him and destroys it so that Broly no longer can have the shock collar work on him.
And at some point, the shock collar just disappears. I think they just stopped drawing it at some point, don't they?
He probably just flexed and it got destroyed, like when The Rock in the Fast and the Furious movie just like flexed and the cast came off. That's probably like the same situation.
Probably.
But, they establish that, through conversations with Broly that he's really like a absolute sweetheart, nice guy.
He just has a lot of rage.
He has a lot of rage, but he has a pure heart. He had a friend on that desert planet that was a monster, and then his dad didn't like the monster, so he blasted the creature's ear off, and now Broly wears it as like a skirt.
When you say it out loud like that, it just sounds dumb.
It's almost as if, even though this is better than most Dragon Ball movies, like there's still
It's
some
still
flaws.
a Dragon Ball movie. Anyway, everybody arrives at Earth. Fighting starts. Fighting continues happening.
Well, who's fighting who?
Broly fights Vegeta for a while, and then Vegeta tags in Goku, and gradually Goku and Vegeta go through their normal transformations up to Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, Saiyan Double Saiyan God, Monkey Saiyan.
Yeah, and
or SSJ DG DG DSS GD
Yes.
MSS for
And
short.
Frieza's generally entertained by this, but he wants Broly to become even more powerful, and he remembers the one time he killed Krillin.
Well, you're skipping ahead a bit. So Broly demonstrates a remarkable ability to learn techniques and how to get better at fighting on the fly. In that this is the first time he's ever actually fought somebody other than sparring with his triple-digit power level dad, and so he
quickly learns how to punch people through mountains.
So I feel like this was something that was storyboarded a little bit badly, in that the the dialogue seemed to imply that he was learning to fight from fighting, picking up techniques as he saw them demonstrated, but then he started using techniques that had not been used yet. He was the first one to start shooting beams, and I feel like...
And he is also... he probably learned that from his dad.
I mean, maybe.
I feel, because that's a basic tech. I think shooting key beams by flexing your abs, I think that's a wholly Broly original technique.
I feel like that could have been better arranged so that he could have it looked like they were trying to make it so that he was learning moves from fighting Vegeta. And I think they could have done that better.
Addressed this in the show previously, where Goku got better at fighting an opponent while fighting them. So he didn't learn new techniques per se, but he just developed a stronger intuition as a fighter. So perhaps they were trying to repeat that same concept. And so through intuition, because he clearly knows how ki works. You need that in order to be able to fly. That's sort of tied to the same skill set. You can't fly without knowledge of ki.
See, he didn't start flying until after Vegeta started flying. So
he was flying on the planet.
Oh, they did show that in flashbacks.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Never mind. Regardless, moving on. But he doesn't personally have transformations. So Vegeta goes Super Saiyan, and Broly's dad is like, "What is even that happening?" And Frieza's like, "He just turned into a Super Saiyan." Like, wait, what do you mean, like in the children's story? But what Broly does have is his tail was cut off because he kept on looking at the moon and turning into the Great Ape form. But he has apparently learned a technique that allows him to channel the raw power and rage of Great Ape form while still being in a generally human form, although he definitely got like 3 feet taller. And so he starts using this technique as he fights Vegeta and then eventually Goku. It looks like he is about to beat Goku. The back and forth thing sort of escalates until Broly is in his super not quite a monkey form, and then Goku powers up into aforementioned way too long of blue form and begins winning. Frieza says, wait, hold on, I have an idea. He has a flashback to that time he murdered Krillin, and then he murders Darth Plagueis.
Right.
And points it out to Broly like, "Oh no, your dad died as a side effect of this fight." And so
that was actually one of the funniest bits in the movie, because Frieza is just such an asshole.
It's true.
Just like, I'm going to just casually murder your dad. Like, oh, how could this have happened?
Oh no, terrible accident. Which in turn causes Broly to go Super Saiyan, in which case both Vegeta and Goku team up to fight him, and they begin to lose. So they're like, "Oh shoot, let's teleport to Piccolo for some R&R." And they meanwhile, the ice caps are melting.
Right.
It's important to note that global warming is caused by Saiyans.
Right. So it is not caused by man, but caused by Saiyans.
Caused by aliens.
So really, just keep making all the coal factories, guys.
No, it's fine. Just like burn whatever you want. Just
burn, baby, burn.
Just so long as we don't allow space aliens to punch each other into the mantle of the Earth over Antarctica.
Really, this is just proof that businesses should be allowed to do whatever they want, and we just need to keep aliens out.
I'm sure Capsule Corp has a solution.
I don't actually mean that. That was a joke. That is not my actual beliefs. That is a joke.
You realize that I'm literally like 3 weeks away from becoming a citizen, right?
Yes.
Anyway, so they teleport to Piccolo, who's like, "No, I don't have any sensu beans." And then they discuss it for a while and decide they're going to need to do the fusion dance. There's a bit of a montage. Well, so here's a bit where the timeline sort of breaks down in that they have to do the fusion dance 3 times. They go through the 3 standard failed forms, or like fat mode, skinny mode, and then it works.
Right. Well,
each of which takes 30 minutes, during which they're flashing back and forth to Frieza fighting.
Which just means that Frieza was
Broly.
fighting him for an hour, and that was one of the worst hours of Frieza's life.
Right. And they just sort of like casually gloss over, like, yeah, Frieza just sort of like holds things down for an hour. It's fine.
The movie would then be a whole hour longer of just the Broly versus Frieza fight, which, I'd be fine with.
I'm just going to say, I feel like it's a bit of a plot hole that just like,
I don't think that's a plot hole. They just say yeah, Frieza just kept fighting for an hour. We're just not showing you the whole thing.
He just kept fighting with no sense of escalation.
Well, it's like, when you watch a movie, you know that over the course of that character's life, they had to go to the bathroom and eat food. They just don't show it.
Yeah, but Dragon Ball fights have a certain structure to them. Like, Dragon Ball fights are either like total sweeps where one side just blows up the other immediately, a la, Frieza blowing up Planet Vegeta, or there's this gradual escalation of people adopting new forms, and like the fight gets more intense until somebody finally is defeated. You don't just have like people trading blows and not being fundamentally defeated or stepping things up.
Well, no, you kind of do have that with like the Gohan versus Boo fight, where he was losing, but just like did his best to hold on for dear life. So I think that's kind of just where it was. So if this was in the show, there would be a bunch of episodes of the Frieza versus Broly fight, but because
There would
it
be an
was,
episode of just the two of them yelling at each other
Right.
as they transform.
but because it's a movie, they cut it out. So I don't know. I'm fine with it. I actually like the idea of Frieza just like trying his best not to die during that hour.
I don't think they portrayed that on screen at all. That's a subtext that you assume. I think of it as a plot hole.
I don't think it's a plot hole. I think it's because they cut back and forth to the fight in between the transformation.
Right, and there's no sense of like Frieza is holding on for dear life.
Well, but you see him get more damaged as you go in between the clips.
Yeah?
Yeah, like you see more scars on his body.
I don't think that was well portrayed at all.
I mean, I think also there's the difference between like the pretty diehard fan and the casual fan. So for me, I'm like, yeah, I pick up on this. This is fine. I understand the implication. So might not have worked well for you, but it worked fine for me.
All right, I guess.
And them explicitly saying, "Fine, we have to wait another half hour."
Right.
And then it cuts to Frieza. It's a montage, dude.
I don't think it's. All right, so I'm going to say it's not a well put together montage.
Yeah.
So if you're going to say,
we just watched the Rocky movies, of course it's not going to compete with that.
if you're going to say that if the dialogue is going to say that this is taking place over XYZ amount of time, and in the thing that you're cutting back and forth to, there isn't really a portrayed sense of
Time passing.
of that time passing. Like,
So how would you have changed the direction of that scene?
I think more clearly showing Frieza struggling and losing might have helped. If they're trying to portray that Frieza is just trying to hold on, like have a couple of shots of him like getting kicked down and like lying in the ground for a second and like picking himself up gradually. Like there's a lot of dramatic, like somebody gets kicked to the ground and they spend 30 seconds to 2 minutes standing up before they start fighting again. That happened a couple times in this movie. An abbreviated version of that would have been a good way to show that. Like, in the second clip of Frieza fighting, maybe, like he gets, that sort of thing happens to him.
I mean, they showed him getting smacked around a lot.
Yeah, but people get kicked through mountains all the time and it doesn't matter.
So
it took Broly getting kicked through 6 mountains in a row before it mattered.
So we didn't even talk about the getting kicked through multiple mountains thing that happened in this
6 mountains, I counted them.
Yeah, so
to be fair, he stopped in the 6th.
Right, but
5.5 mountains.
So we had someone get kicked through 6 mountains, but also there was that shot where you got to see like from like a first person perspective of going through the mountain.
Yeah.
So there was plenty of being punched through mountains in this.
Right, definitely. If you go to a Dragon Ball movie to see people get kicked through mountains, which I do, you got your money's worth.
You go to Dragon Ball movies because I drag you along for my birthday.
And to see people get kicked through mountains. Anyway, skipping ahead, the Gogeta.
Gogeta, you're making the same joke as the movie.
It's true. I don't think it's even Gogeta.
No, it is Gogeta.
This one says,
It's
Gogeta. So what's their other form called?
Vegito.
Gogeta. Fusion version of those dudes pops over and they fight Broly for a little bit more, and they gradually begin to win, and it's clear they're going to win this fight and end up killing Broly because Broly will not stop.
Broly is basically Cucullin. He's like Berserker Rage. I get really strong. I can't control myself.
Cut to Chili and Lime.
Right.
And they're saying, oh no, our friend Broly is going to die. There's no other way for this fight to end. They steal the Dragon Balls. This is also glossed over a little bit in that, like, other minions have the Dragon Balls, and then just suddenly Chili and Lime do. I guess you could say Lime is a thief, and that's been portrayed. So maybe. They run off. They grab one of the minions who was in charge of summoning the dragon to cast the wish to make Frieza bigger, and they hold him at gunpoint to make him summon the dragon. And right at the last minute, they managed to use the dragon to wish Broly back to the planet that he grew up on.
Back to the shitty desert planet with the monster.
Back to crap world. Then, boop, he's gone right as Vegeta shoots a Kamehameha that would have finished him off. And then they sort of look around like, oh no, what happened? And then they steal a spacecraft and fly off and join him. Chili and Lime do.
Right.
So Chili and Lime are like, we are also exiles, so we're going to hang out with you.
Oh, and they just let Frieza go.
On this desert planet. I mean, like
Frieza's just like, I'll come back and kill you guys later, but I'm just gonna go home.
I guess that's an important point. Is Frieza is about to shoot down their shuttle as they're fleeing when Pagoda grabs a hold of his wrist and stops him. And Frieza looks up at this super overpowered combination of Vegeta and Goku. Is like, yeah, I ain't having this. And he powers himself down. And then they let him fly off and go do his thing. And then Chile and Lime.
I do like that the last scene you see of Frieza in the movie is him like exterminating a race of people on a planet, and
Right, yeah, he just like casually like his epilogue is him just leading his fleet on a campaign of destruction and just being like, yes, those two will civilize Broly and then we will draft him back into our army and destroy Earth, kind of thing. Chile and Lime go to hang out with Broly because they figure they're exiles everywhere right now since they were criminals who had stolen ships. So nobody likes them because they're part of the Frieza Force, and now they're fired from Frieza Force for stealing from Frieza Force and double-crossing Frieza. So they're like, let's hang out with the one guy that we're pretty sure can defend us from Frieza. And then Goku teleports in and was like, hey guys, I brought you some snacks. Let's be friends, and I'm going to show up and train here every once in a while. They're like, well, we don't trust you. He's like, that's okay, just so long as I can fight Broly every once in a while. Well, see you later. Pew! Roll credits.
Gives them a house. Broly, who had just discovered what water was
Just
like a
discovered
few days
what water
ago.
was. He had been living on bug pus for his
Yes.
entire life.
So, and basically Goku says, hey, I'm going to give you a house, and I just want to come visit and spar with Broly because Broly's stronger than me, and I want to fight strong opponents. And Broly, my name is Goku, but you can call me Kakarot, which I never embrace as my name ever, but because in all the previous Broly movies you said Kakarot, and it's what the fans wanted to hear, that's why I said it, even though it makes no sense for my character. Also, Broly, you're a good guy now, because I know you have a pure heart, and you're a nice guy.
I thought the Kakarot thing was sort of like out of a sense of respect for a fellow Saiyan, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
But Goku has consistently said he doesn't like the name Kakarot and that he doesn't associate himself with it and asked to be called Goku.
Yeah, but when has he ever encountered Saiyans that, like...
Anytime he encounters a Saiyan, they call him Kakarot.
Right, no, anytime he encounters a Saiyan, they call him Kakarot. When has he encountered a Saiyan that, like, he's sort of met on more respectful terms? Like, every other Saiyan that he's encountered has been like, oh, you're Goku, you're that sort of renegade guy who calls himself Goku, we're going to call you Kakarot.
So I guess maybe he's just doing it for consistency. Like, well, the only Saiyan that's alive is Vegeta, and he calls me Kakarot, so I guess I'll just keep it consistent, I guess.
I don't know, I sort of got the vibe that he was saying, like, this guy gets me, and as respect to our shared Saiyan heritage, which we're both sort of exiles from. We're both exiles from our shared Saiyan heritage. I'm okay with him calling me by my Saiyan name, even though I sort of bristle at every other Saiyan, because like, it was given to Broly rather than Broly taking it like Vegeta does. That's my best guess.
I'm just calling it fan service.
I mean,
it's
maybe
just
a little
in the
bit.
same way, like, Broly has a pure heart and is a good guy now.
He's a good guy now.
So it's definitely interesting, this character that in the first Broly movie, he was a sadistic villain. He got a joy out of fighting. He liked killing. It was like his
Who
thing.
doesn't?
And in this movie, he is only fighting because his dad trained him to fight. He didn't want to be a fighter. He wanted to be pure-hearted and peaceful.
He wanted to be a poet.
Wanted to be a poet, didn't even
Unfortunately,
know
his
it.
dad didn't teach him to read, which
Right.
made things real difficult.
But so basically, he's supposed to be a peaceful character who just goes into an uncontrollable berserker rage because he has so much power.
As one does.
So it's pretty much a completely different character than the previous Broly.
Yes.
A better character, because the motivations of the character make more sense. But I feel it's still like Broly, I think as a character still isn't necessarily a very it's a better character, but still not a good character, in that, you know, it's hard to get a read on like what his wants and desires.
He has very little dialogue.
Right.
I think that's, you know, he probably doesn't really know himself. Like, he has very little exposure to anything else. Like, he has interacted with animals on the planet he grew up with and his dad prior to the events of this movie. So, like, who is he? What does he want? He has no idea. Everything is so alien to him.
Well, I guess so. Another mostly silent character we could compare him to that, you know, in a film series we watched recently. Let's compare him to Ivan Drago, who you have a pretty favorable
Yeah.
opinion on as a character, who also has very limited dialogue, but is still able to come across as a very powerful character.
Ivan Drago has a lot more context to who he is, though, I think. Like, Ivan Drago exists in a more complex world. And you know that he's able to observe that world, and he has grown up in it and has absorbed it, versus Broly exists in a very simple world prior to the plot, the main plot of this film. So, like, yeah, I think just, like, he doesn't know what's going on other than fighting.
So yeah, he doesn't really have a reason to fight. Like his dad said, attack, and he did.
Right.
And so now with his dad gone, he has these new friends. He does essentially have like the brain of a child.
Yeah.
So I guess, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see where they take the character from this point. I mean, obviously, like, the bar was set pretty low. Broly was a bad character. There is at least room for the character to do something interesting at this point, because I think
they need to get him off that planet and get him, like, to explore more things, I think.
Yes. And so I think as a potential protagonist, like having a berserker on the team would make for just some interesting combat. I think he would, like, if you're doing group battles, I think he could add something.
Are the humans relevant at all anymore?
Yeah, they were relevant in the Tournament of Power.
All right.
So
also, how did Bulma survive, like, everything turning into lava?
I don't know. She's resourceful, man.
I guess she was standing with Weiss. He might have, like, used his force field powers to keep her from dying.
So at this point, do you think Broly is an interesting character or is still underwhelming? So this is your second Broly movie.
I think in the context of this movie, he was as much as he needed to be because there was a lot of stuff happening around him. If they continue using him, yeah, he's going to need a lot of development. Like, he can't do much beyond what was demonstrated in this film based on his what he did in this film sort of seemed like the limit of what he is capable of as a character in an interesting narrative. So they're gonna have to evolve his character a lot.
Like, the thing with Broly in this movie is, like, the people around Broly are more interesting. Like, Chili and Lime are more interesting than Broly is, at least to me.
Yeah,
and
although they're foils.
Yes, they're foils.
They're supporting characters there.
But, like, Broly in this movie is mainly interesting as a foil to the previous Broly. Like, if this was the first movie I saw with this character and I had no previous knowledge, I don't know how interested I would be in his emotional arc and journey, and I'm not sure I would get why he's an important character to revolve a plot around. So
I think in the context of the world, just like any more Saiyans are sort of relevant just because they are major power sources.
Yeah, so I might be coming out with the bias of not liking the character for so many years and being annoyed at the bad writing, but this was a good movie. Obviously Frieza, nice to get a lot of screen time. Always a really just great character to have on screen.
Nice to see Frieza just be petty.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's
petty, but like not in a like I'm mad at my underlings, I'm gonna kill them, like gnawing the scenery villain kind of way. Just like a normal person being petty and abusing power in silly ways,
and also teaching Goku vocabulary.
Right, it's true. Did teach him the word repugnant.
Yeah,
That's why he brought snacks.
The shorthand relationship with the characters, they do really well. Like, Goku and Frieza clearly have a history, clearly have a shorthand. They don't like each other, but they know how to communicate.
It's true.
So, but yeah, overall, I liked the movie. There are a lot of people saying this is the best Dragon Ball movie. What do you think of that? So you've seen probably what? About 4?
No, I used to watch a bunch of them when they came on Adult Swim late at night.
Okay, so you probably saw
like the little blue dude who wished to be immortal. I saw one of his
so you
movies.
saw Dead Zone.
Yeah,
you saw the one with the robot brain.
Maybe
You saw the one where the Saiyan ate fruit from the Tree of Might.
Maybe.
All right, we'll just.
I don't remember many of them.
All right, so we'll count Dead Zone with the little blue dude, Garlic Jr. We'll count that as one. We'll count the other Broly movie. We'll count Resurrection F, Battle of Gods, and this. So
seen at least 5, if not 6 or 7.
Yeah, so let's say 5, just on the conservative end. Do you think this is?
It's 5 that I can remember.
5 that you can remember. What do you think? Would you say this is the best Dragon Ball movie? Do you think that's a fair statement?
No, Resurrection F, I think, had some was pretty good. This one dragged a lot towards the end.
I agree.
When it got like towards the end, just like fighting kept on going, and I think the pacing could have been much improved.
Yeah, and
I
the
think
fighting
they
wasn't.
wanted to show off a lot more. They wanted to show off art techniques.
I think that's kind of what it was. They were really, because this was introduced a new animation style, and I think they were super psyched at how good the fight animations were.
That was the aha as colored in by Lisa Frank scenes.
Yeah, but I think sort of the problem is it was a really good movie, kind of up until the fighting, and then the fighting is when it started to drag.
To be fair, the fighting started like 30, 40 minutes in. Like,
Yeah,
for the amount of this movie that was fighting, it didn't drag as much as it could have.
right, and that's impressive. But what I would say is,
After the fusion, I would say is when it started to.
so when I actually think that the fusion saved it and made it a bit fresh, and it was dragging before that. So
maybe.
What I would say with this movie, what I really would have done is I would have broken up the fights in sort of the way that we watched Creed 2 recently, where there's the first fight with Victor Drago, and Creed basically loses the fight. He wins on a technicality, but he loses, and then there's time for him to do soul searching, learn about himself, and then be able to overcome Victor in the final battle. And I think this movie would have benefited from a structure like that, where they lose to Broly. There's some sort of like group mentality. Like there needs to be more passage of time for the characters to learn more, as opposed to, let's just do a fusion and an hour. I think
the berserker nature of Broly makes that not really
it makes
super tenable. Like,
Yeah, it
because like
makes it-
Broly can't really stop fighting as long as anybody's still around.
I think there could have been, some way to build the stakes for that. I don't know how you would have done, could have been just like a kidnapping thing. Like you could have had Frieza kidnap Bulma, which I know, trope of kidnapping the woman, but say
He should have kidnapped what's his name's dad?
Whose dad?
Broly's.
Broly's dad?
Because that's the one like motivating thing for Broly. Is like if Broly's like he needs to stop fighting because the only person that he really knows and cares about is at stake. Or Chili and Lime. Chili and Lime could have been kidnapped too, actually.
Yeah, well, I think just you needed some. I think if there was some sort of break and that there was time for the characters to learn more.
Alternative, go for some really complex structure, stage some of the flashbacks in the fight. That would have been hard to do, but if they could have pulled it off, that could have helped the pacing a lot.
Yeah, I think that could have helped the pacing too. Like, actually, yeah.
Or it could have ruined it.
Yeah, I think it probably would have been if you had.
If they did it right, it would have.
Here's what I would have done: the exact same thing up to the fights, but then have more Broly backstory flashbacks. So just give me more of his story, make me care about the character more, see more. Show, don't tell. So show me more scenes of like him and his relationship with his dad, dialogue between the two of them, him growing up. So then when his dad gets killed and he has that Super Saiyan reaction, it has more weight. I think that could, and maybe that could be like throughout the movie, Broly flashbacks and like showing like the sort of the transition in his head when he gets to the Berserker Rage. Like maybe have like I'm trying to think of the terminology, like that buzzing sound you hear, like the ringing buzz when like the TV's too loud or something.
Okay.
Like, you can have that and like see what his trigger is and sort of see in his head what his Berserker transition is like. And like have like a musical motif that could lead to that. I think like the movie is very close to being a very good movie.
Flashing back to training with his dad, what I think would have helped as he began demonstrating more techniques on in the initial stages of the fight. I think that could have helped the pacing of that a little bit as well.
Yeah,
or the coherency of it.
So I think what I'd say is this one had the best direction of any Dragon Ball movie, at least in terms of the early scenes.
Yeah.
Like it felt like a proper film, not just like, this is a Dragon Ball movie. It felt like a proper movie. And so I think that gives it an edge over a lot of the films in the franchise. So in terms of feeling like a movie, this is the one that feels most like a movie and not just like a Dragon Ball movie. Would you agree with that statement?
For the first half, yeah.
I'm talking for the first half.
Yeah.
And so I think if they continue to make films with this kind of directorial style, there's potential for a really, really strong movie. And I would say the first half sort of fits into that. It's a shame that it didn't continue all the way.
The Dragon Ball Cinematic Universe.
But I'm going to say I think Battle of Gods is better because I think it's better paced throughout the entire thing.
Yeah.
It's funnier when it's funny. And the fight scenes, I think, are better paced and carry more impact. So it's weird because, like, this should be better based upon how good that first half was and how dramatic it was. It has more dramatic weight than Battle of Gods.
I liked the ending of this one better. Like, I know, you were poo-pooing the, like, Goku saved the bad guy from being a bad guy thing. But I think that's an important part of, how Dragon Ball works. And I think, like, the super world killing deity just being like, you made me use almost 15% of my power. That was fun. I won't destroy your world. That's cheesy.
I think the difference for me is that it matched internal logic of the series at that point, so I didn't mind it. I'm like, yeah, okay. It was cheesy, but I was fine with it. Versus this character whose, like, gimmick for many, many years was he is brutal, he likes killing for fun. Like, remember in the last Broly movie, there was the little slave people, and they were looking up their home planet. It's like, oh, you looking up your home planet? I'm going to blow it up just because I'm a dick. Like, I mean, just because.
Wouldn't you?
No, I wouldn't.
Oh. Edit that out.
So I think the him being pure-hearted, to me, it felt like placating the fanboys more. But it worked. It does work within the consistency of the narrative. So
yeah, I think I like, especially with the backstory they gave him in this one, I like him better as a redeemable character. Like, just having him be an irredeemable monster who wants to kill. Like, it's one of those things. Like, even if they had done that, is that fair to the character? Like, if he ends up an irredeemable monster because he was raised by a father who literally trained him with a dog shot collar to do nothing but kill. That's a sucky arc.
It is a sucky arc, and the
dark arc.
It's when you're dealing with sort of the concept of insanity, how much fault and responsibility do you place on the individual, and how tragic is that character's story? Like, if Broly just has mental issues, how much of it is his fault, and how much of it is just it being tragic for his character?
Right, and this is Dragon Ball. I don't know. Let the character be redeemed.
Yeah, so I overall I liked it. I'll give it a thumbs up. Still don't know how it would do in my overall Dragon Ball rankings, but definitely the best Broly movie because
that bar's not very high.
Right, because the Broly movies aren't very good.
It's got to be low enough that if you jump off the top bar and land on the other guy, nobody's really in danger of getting hurt.
Yep. So any other thoughts on the movie, Steve?
Yeah. I mean, we're in danger of this review being longer than the film. We're not Red Letter Media here, as evidenced by the fact that we've made 0 jokes about women being chained up in our basement. We live in Nashville. We don't have basements.
And, we're respectful.
Right.
So, Steve, where can people find us on the internet?
They can find us on lipstickgeneration.com and, Lipstick Generation on various other platforms.
All right, well, that is our episode, and hopefully the other computer will be up and running soon so we can get back to the regular show format. Have a good one, folks.
Rock.
Peace.
Peace.